All right, we're going to do another retouch, and no surprise, I'm going to do one of Kevin, our really good cowboy subject. This one, my goal is to create an ultra high contrast black and white, and in this case, I specifically photographed this image to end up in black and white with ultra high contrast. So I think I'm doing one or two other ultra high contrast options in this dramatic portrait class. So this may be somewhat of a repetition, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways because I love this picture. And you will probably learn something new because that's what happens when we just keep repeating the process. Now, I'm going to mention a couple things. One is in my complete masterclass that I launched about a year ago, I had in there under my retouch category, or the build out, I had one section that I did some ultra high contrast images or look, and I used some luminosity masks. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If there's 10 ways, there's 100 ways to do something in Photoshop. So with that in mind, you can try one technique, and then what I do is I end up with a final, put it aside, try another technique, end up, same image, end up with a final, put it aside, and then try another technique, and you get my point. And then you lay them all out and you go, In this case, the luminosity masks especially continuous tone luminosity masks, are a great way to hold back highlights or build, or say, allow detail in the shadows to come out, right? So it's an incredible technique, and there are some photographers that have, I think Greg Benz, or I think that's someone who's sent me he's got a plug-in that you can go and, I guess, somewhat easily create luminosity masks. It's still complicated to me. I didn't get past the learning curve, and so I thought, oh well. I learned some luminosity masks in a very simple way to do it, but here's something that's really interesting that you might want to take a look at. That is, in Photoshop, when you go into Bridge and you take your, let's say, your highlights and your shadows, and you take the sliders, so you can say you pull down the highlights and you open up the shadows. In essence, Photoshop is creating a luminosity mask for you behind the scenes. Now, I don't know the exact technical, what they're doing behind the scenes, but they are creating a way to block the highlights or retrieve shadows, right? So it's some way in there they do that, right? It's basically, I'm sure, it's some way of a mask of some sort that's doing that. The reason why I say that is what I've discovered now is that if I take what Photoshop has done and make it really easy for me, and I have got a little trick that I'll show you that builds on top of that, the end result is absolutely amazing, and it's really fast. So if you want to go and continue to do the luminosity mask techniques, go ahead and do that. If that's what you have found to be your way of doing it. But I would compare them side by side, and if you say, look, I really don't see a big difference between what Joel's going to show you now and what the old way of, or say an older way of doing luminosity mask, which takes you a lot longer to build. Speed is everything, because I'm making a living with my camera and I want to make sure that I don't spend too much time in Photoshop. So you get my point. Unless I have to, then I will if I have an end result I want to get to. So with all that being said, let me show you how I'm going to build a ultra high contrast portrait and hold back my highlights and get my shadows where I want them without blowing them out or losing detail. So that's the goal. So here we have an image of Kevin, and this was what I had in mind from day one. We can zoom in here a little bit, and you can see that I really like it. And that's a little grungy. You may not go this grungy, but I kind of like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Bridge, and I've selected my 3 images because I did a stitching of this, a stitching scenario. And to be honest with you, I can't remember if I used my tilt shift lens or I used the nodal point. Either way, I guess I could find my metadata. It doesn't matter. All right, we're going to grab all 3 of these. Whoops. Start over. Put this back over here. We're going to grab all 3 images. And we're going to Command R. So it's going to take me over to Bridge. And I'm going to do Command A, which is select all. And I'll do a right click, or I can go up here to the little film strip right next to it. It says the same thing, which merged to panorama. And it says, oh, hey, your lens isn't in here. No worries. We're going to let it do its magic, and it will do an incredible job. So we're on perspective, no boundary warp, filling the edges. Well, we could fill the edge. What does that do? Let's see what it does. You know, I'm going to fill it in later. I'm going to widen the canvas. So, all right, so we go and say merge, and we've got to put it somewhere. So let's go, and we're going to just drop it onto, see, Kevin, test. And we're going to put it right on our desktop because if I can find my desktop, there it is. Okay, so it's just out there sitting there. Okay, so now we're in here, and we can begin the process of building my high contrast black and white. So the first thing I'll do is go into the treatment over here under basics and say black and white. Okay, that's number one step. Number two step, pull the highlights back. So we're going to be able to play with these couple of these sliders multiple times. So it's not 100% a need to be accurate the first time out. So let's go the highlights to the left, shadows to the right. Sounds familiar. The whites we're going to pull back a little bit. We're going to get a little more blacks in there. And I can look at my my histogram up there. Texture, we're going to add a little texture and a little dehaze. That's step number one. Step number two is we're going to do a little bit of sharpening. So we're going to pull up to about 100 and then take our masking and hold down the option. And it shows me a black and white kind of a funky little thing here. And I want to just create a sharpening on the edges, very similar to a high pass. Okay, so that's that. We're going to go over to my black and white mix, and we're going to pull down the oranges and, well, yeah, the oranges. That's what we want. Yellow, what does yellow do? Nothing. What does blue do? It darkens the vest a little bit, and a little bit of the whites. So let's do that. All right, so that is pretty much the first steps that I'm going to do. Well, I didn't do my contrast, so let's see if I can put a little contrast in there. Oh, so I noticed that this collar is a little blown out and maybe just a tad on that cheek. So I can, and I can do it later too, but I can do it right now, is I'm going to take my adjustment brush, and we're going to, well, let's do the collar first. So we're going to come in here. We're going to paint the collar. We're on the wrong settings because it defaults to the last one. But we go back over here and we pull it down. Oh, no, we're going to do the highlights. We're going to pull the highlights down. Okay, so right about there. And then we're going to add a new one, and we'll do the cheek, just a little bit on the cheek here. And then we'll pull that down. Just a little bit in value, and the highlights, pull it down just a little bit. We don't want to go too far. All right, and I'm gonna work on the eyes in a minute. I'm gonna show you why I'm not gonna do it yet. So we have an open object, and now remember, if you haven't done this, I am going to open as a smart object. You don't have to check mark it here, but you do want to make sure it's an either Adobe RGB or ProPhoto. You don't want sRGB, right? And you want 16-bit. So I have it checked that every time I click here, it opens as a smart object. So we're going to do that. Let's bring it over into Photoshop, and you'll see that when I click here, let me get my tabs stuff. There is my smart object right there. On my little layer, it tells me I have a smart object. So, still tied to raw, still when we call non-destructive, meaning that it's working off the raw file. It has not been completely moved over to Photoshop yet. So now here's where the magic really happens, and I kind of stumble across this and I love it. I'm going to go to Filter, Camera Raw Filters. This is not the raw. They should really name this something different, like Camera Pseudo Raw Filter, and it's going to pop up here. And it gives me a similar set of adjustments, not 100% the same because some of these are black. Well, it's in black and white, so that's why vibrant and saturation are out. But what I'm doing is I'm building on top of my raw, and what I want to do is I want to pull the highlights down just a little bit, shadows open just a little bit, build some contrast here, maybe just a little bit more texture, not much. And what else? That's about all it's going to give me. So I'm going to say, okay, now watch what happens here. This is really kind of fun. Remember the movie Inception, where you had a dream within a dream? Well, we basically have a smart object within a smart object here. It's built inside this. So this smart object is still active, but yet we have this smart object down here, smart filter, I guess you'd call it. So now I look at my image and I go, you know, that's not bad, and it's getting close to what my vision is. I'm going to do some dodge and burn here in a minute, but let's double click on here. And I say, okay, what else, how far can I push this? So we're going to pull that back a little bit more here. And this is now working off the raw, the ultimate raw from your camera. And let's take the exposure, bring it up just a little bit. We're going to go back into here. Let's pull the orange down just a little bit more. And I like that, but his eyes got a little dark, so I'm not worried, because we'll come over here and we're going to pull out, we're on a new, we're going to pull out a little bit more, whoops, a little bit more detail in his eye. It's on the dark from the last one, but let's open it up here. So that looks pretty good. Let's just make sure that that's got that part there too. Okay. And let's say new, and maybe his chin got a little bit too much, so I'm gonna tap the chin and then pull it down just a fraction. I still have my original raw here. I can go back and hit the highlight a little bit more. Anything else looks good. Maybe my blacks could be brought up a little bit darker, so let's pull the blacks down just a little bit more. And the contrast a little bit more. We hit OK. Now, it's going to update this and still keep my settings over here as my smart filter. So really what I'm doing is I'm balancing two sort of options at the same time. So let's take a look here. I'm going to go to black. And, oh, that looks pretty good. Now, I might have gone a little too far. So I say, okay, let's take this one off. That's my smart filter. So let's go back. I'm going to double click, and I think I went a little too far on the orange filter. Let's go back up here. Let's pull this back just a little bit right there and hit OK. So what I want you to hopefully take away from this is that I'm now juggling the ability to really hold back those highlights, build contrast, but yet not lose the detail in the, I guess you'd say, in the highlights and the shadows and the midtones. You're really working both. So I would say that looks pretty good. Now, if I look here, I'm going to hit the tab here. This coat got a little dark in there. So let's say, you know what? I want that to come out. Double click. Go back to my adjustment brush. We have a new, and we're going to pull this back just a little bit. Okay, so let's see what slider we need for that right there. Let's go right about, well, maybe too much. Let's go right about there. So that's pulled out a little detail in that coat. Maybe I could apply that down here. Oh, no, too much. We'll get a new one. I don't want that much. But let's say we want just a little detail down here. All right, let's pull it back. And depending on how I got some lights in here because I'm doing video, so it's kind of hard to see my screen. So with that, let me take the blacks. Just pull it back just a little bit. So we have a little detail, not much. And I think this one needs to come back a little bit. I went too far. I see that pocket. Okay, say okay. Here we go. Bring it back over here, and we'll take a look at the whole thing. It's going to update the smart filter. And there we have it. I think it looks pretty good. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go Command J. And yes, it duplicates it, but we're going to hit the Control and hold that down to rasterize the image. And now I have an image that I can always go back to this one, but I have an image I can start doing some stuff to. Now, let's build the canvas out. So let's go to Image, Canvas Size. We're going to take the anchor point to the left, and we'll increase it to the right. We'll say 25. Maybe too much, but we'll figure it out here. All right, so we're going to now take and get my brush. We're going to tap the black brush or to get it open up my color picker, and I'm going to just click on the background. So that's pretty darn black, but just to make sure, I have a brush that's 100% opacity, 100% flow, and we're now going to run this down to fill it in. I don't want to encroach on his elbow there, so let's go down to here. Okay, now we hit the C key for shortcut for my crop. Come on. So we're going to center his head right down the middle because that's going to look amazing on my wall or in a gallery or on somebody's cabin on a lake over their fireplace. I'm dreaming. Okay, so we've got Kevin here, and we are now going to go over to my what is that? The spot healing brush, and we are going to begin doing a little bit of editing here. And before I do that, I am going to take a break, reset my cameras, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and the reason why I'm telling you that is we're going to reset my clock is because nothing's worse than making a recording, and your camera stops at 30 minutes, and you keep talking, and then you have no video going, and with my sound is connected to my video camera or my camera, so it's very frustrating when that happens. I'm telling you that only because it's part of the game. If you want to be an instructor and do your own videos, you will understand the frustration that I go through when one thing goes wrong. And I'll tell you what I've learned is that it's very important to turn on your mic. I learned that the hard way. Actually, I've done that a couple times. Recorded a whole tutorial, my mic wasn't turned on. All right, I'm giving you all my secrets. All right, we are now going to clean up Kevin a little bit. So we got my spot healing brush. Zoom in here. Well, we don't have to go that close, but well, maybe we do. Let's just get in one more click. And because I use that orange filter, boy, does it exaggerate any little flaws. Hold on a second. It's going to spin on me. There it goes. And so I'm going to make Kevin look like a superhero. So here we go. And you've seen me use the frequency separation a lot. We could do that on this, but you know, that's not something I use all the time, especially on a cowboy. We want him to be somewhat grungy. Oh, now let me back up for a second here. That went a little too, it kind of looked pasty or whatever you want to call it. It didn't look right, so I'm just going to back it up. There we go. The smaller you make your brush, the better, really the better it is. So you don't want to brush this too big or cover too much area at one time. Okay, we're going to fix that in a second. I'll show you. All right, that looks pretty good. So, and I often do a little swiggly so it kind of picks it up from from not just a straight line. I don't know if that made any sense. All right, I think we've got enough with that. Let's go down smaller. Okay, we haven't done dodge and burn yet, but we're going to go Command J, pull back our opacity to about 50%. We're going to go over to my patch tool, and we'll start here first. Start here. Start here. And because it's 50%, I'm going to pull it over here. It will not, it'll still be there, but it's maybe, oops, come on. Oh, come on, I don't want to do that. Command D. All right, that's at 50%. We go Command E, merges it down. So let's go down small again. We haven't dodged and burned yet, so let's do that next. We might do that technique one more time, but we're going to go Shift Command N, set the mode to overlay, click on the fill. Old school way of doing dodge and burn. I've seen a few people that have updated this and try some new way, blank layer and whatever. I don't know. It works for me. And I got protect tones on here. So we're just going to clean up Command D. Make sure I don't have anything selected there. We're going to bring his eye up just a little bit. Bring this eye up just a little bit. So we're going to go smaller. I see a little highlight there I didn't see, so I'm going to hold the Option key down, which gives me a 6% mid-tone burn. And then we got a big highlight right there that just doesn't quite work for me. It's nice Kevin came with, he's kind of unshaved. I actually photographed him with a beard and clean shave, so we've got kind of a variation, which is nice. All right, let's just tone that down a little bit. Doesn't hurt to get rid of a little bit of that, you know, gravity pulling down in the middle there. Okay, a little highlight right there. All right, that's looking pretty good. So let's go down smaller here. And I would probably now go back over here and let's just kind of do a sweep. I'll show you what I do. Let's go back to my spot healing brush. And I keep mentioning this, that don't be sloppy and hand a file to someone and then later see all these little white spots that when you blow it up you see it and it doesn't look like it's finished. So zoom in and go through with a fine-tooth comb. I'm not going to do every one of these, but you get the point. Is that when, look at all these little spots, see that? You don't really see that because I'm building such high contrast. That's going to pick up any dust, or if there's a dead pixel, which I don't think there's any dead pixels on this camera. That does happen with time, and I think there's you can run a program that fixes the dead pixels. I think every sensor has the risk of having a dead pixel, but I don't think there's a dead pixels. You can test that by shooting a black something and then run it and see if you got any little white spots. Okay, I'm not going to do every single one of those. I did that on the original one, and this is, because this is Stitch, boy, whew, this is going to be super high res. I mean, a file that's going to be able to be blown up pretty big. So you see what I'm doing there. So let's go back down here, and we have not run the ultimate grunge on it yet, so we're going to go Shift, Option, Command E to make a blank, and let's save it. Save as Kevin test. We're going to set it, just going to sit it right on my desktop. Don't leave those big files on your desktop because they will eat your RAM away. So it'll take a second to get this to completely save. And then we're going to go over to, well, there's a number of ways I can do this. I can do it in, as I said before, I can do it in the Camera Raw, the filter. I can do it in a program like Topaz. I can do it in a program called Luminar, or Nik software used to have a great detail extractor. It doesn't work anymore on my computers. I used to have it, and it just kind of, now every time I open it up it crashes, so I just tossed it in the trash can. But you can get an update with Nik, and so there's a number of programs that allow you to go and finish it off. I call them the finishing off third-party softwares. I have no problems with that. So when I talk to photographers, they go, "Are you a Photoshop purist?" And I go, "What does that mean?" Well, everything's in Photoshop. You don't have any third-party, programs that do things to your image. And I go, "What's wrong with that? What does it matter?" And I think Luminar is like $50 or something. I don't know. All right, so we've got it saved. Filter. And there's Nik. It's still sitting there, which I don't know why I've thrown it away. Luminar. Probably have an old one in a folder somewhere, and I've had too many copies of it. I don't use it. It'll crash it. So here we are. Let's go crisp and clean. See what that crisp and clean does. Wow, way too much. Way too crisp and clean. That's not too bad if I bring it down here. Let's go to Indian Summer. Indian Summer. Ooh, I like Indian Summer. Gives a little bit of a sepia tone. So let's go over here. Now, remember this. This Joel Grimes preset pack over here is available for you. I've said this before. If you go to Luminar or Skyloom website, and you can download that for free. Of course, you have to have Luminar to do it, or to open it up. But you have all these settings over here that if I want, I can adjust to fine-tune things. But what I do normally is, because I've done this, I mean, I preset these up, I'll just do the amount. So if it looks a little too grungy there, on this one I don't mind that grunge. And I could say, let me pull back the highlights just a little bit here. Bring in on this Luminar here. Just pull that back a little bit, and we'll say, okay, apply. It's going to process it, bring it over, and we'll look at the final. And since I did the other one about a month ago, it won't match 100%. But you get the point, I hope. So let's see, there's the version of it without this, and I'll show you what I can do too. So I can feather it back here on my layers. So here it goes. There's the I'll hit F so we can get it all in here. Now there's off, on. So now I have the additional option to take the opacity down. So there's opacity 0. So let's work it up, and let's just say I look at it and I think, you know what, about 80% does it, like, you know, gives me what I want. And I can apply one last thing here, which is a levels, just to make sure that, because I've calibrated my monitor, by the way, so I want to make sure, so I'm going to pull up my highlights a little bit, and let's pull down the midtones just a touch. We're going to go for it. And that's the final adjustment to our ultra high contrast image of Kevin. What'd you learn? Hopefully that you can take, in conjunction with a smart object and a smart filter, you can take and play and getting those tones and holding back the highlights exactly the way you want it. Every image is going to be a little different. So what does that tell you? That you are the artist, and if you're doing it for a client, obviously you have to think about the client's end result. But if you don't have a client, you are the client, you go and you adjust it till you like it. And maybe what I would do is experiment a little bit with a couple techniques. So like I said before, I take it, I save it, I put it aside, do another technique, save it, set aside, then look at them. I like doing that because I do want to know the best way or the fastest way to do something. So I hope you're doing those kind of things. I bet you are. With that, thank you for joining me on this. We're going to continue on to some more retouches. This masterclass has a lot of retouching because I shot so many cowboys and I keep wanting to, show you guys as much as I can. So with that, we'll keep moving forward with some more goodies for you guys.